All right, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez still going back and forth, but Devin Haney sets the record straight on my man Teofimo Lopez and says he don't never mention my name. He don't never act like he wants no smoke from me. Let's talk about Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. So we are still in our self-containment, quarantine, whatever you want to call it. And so young boxers are still, stuck up in their houses, working out, doing whatever they're doing. And they got a lot of time on their hands. And what do people do when they get a lot of time on their hands these days to make themselves feel social? They jump on social media. And more so the younger fighters than the older fighters, because, these 20-year-old guys that are like 22 years old, man, they were born with smartphones. Y'all might not appreciate this, man, but around the year 2000 with 98, these guys were born. Around that time is when Palm Pilots and flip cell phones and smartphones and all that stuff, Blackberries, all of that stuff started coming around when they were like 2 or 3 years old. So like boxers that start at an early age, these guys are very, very used to, and that is the reality that they live in and that they communicate through. So obviously these guys are a lot better, and they're doing it like, they're doing it like they were born doing it. So Teofimo Lopez is sitting down, talking on an Instagram. I think this was also an Instagram live. That's the mechanism. That's the medium of choice. So he's talking about Devin Haney and telling Devin Haney, I think he might've been talking to Raleigh Romero. I think it's Raleigh Romero. I think he's a welterweight. Is he a 140 pounder? Maybe he's a 140 pounder. Raleigh Romero, knockout puncher, man. This dude just, man, I don't think he's the most highly skilled dude. Either he's really highly skilled and he don't care, right? Or, he's just so strong that he doesn't even have to mess with it, man. This guy is knocking the block off of people, man. He actually said something about what he would do to Tank, man. But Wally Romero and them were talking about, I think that was the guy that was talking about Devin Haney, and just telling, say, man, Devin Haney needs to shut up, man. Need to shut up. Stop calling everybody out. Hey, man, that is not what Devin Haney needs to do. Devin Haney needs to do exactly what Devin Haney is doing, which is put you guys on Front Street. Because if Devin Haney doesn't put Teofimo Lopez on Front Street, if he doesn't put Lomachenko on Front Street, if he's not out there putting the WBC on Front Street, then what's going to happen to Devin Haney is that, he's going to fade off to the sunset, man, because those guys are not necessarily in the business of pushing fighters like Devin Haney, man. So Devin Haney got to make his own way, and he's making his own way very well. But in doing that, Devin Haney's calling out Gervonta Davis, calling out Adrian Bronner, calling out Lomachenko, calling out Teofimo Lopez, calling out Ryan Garcia, just, out there trying to make sure that everybody knows that he's willing to fight these guys. And this is something that was said on Trill Boxing Talk, where his father, Bill Haney, was talking about their arrangement, that if they get an offer, at least this is my understanding, if Devin Haney and Devin Haney Promotions gets an offer from somebody to make a fight, that Matchroom Boxing and DAZN have to match it. If they can't match it or do something better, then Devin Haney and those guys Devin Haney's able to go off and do whatever he wants to do. And and that would apply to Teofimo Lopez. Now, when Teofimo Lopez tells him, though, to shut up, right? Just shut up, stop talking, as if Teofimo Lopez ain't doing a lot of talking. Shut up, stop crying, whatever he said. Devin Haney comes back and is like, yeah, well, I find it really funny, man, that Teofimo Lopez, he never mentions me when I say I want to fight him, implying that Teofimo Lopez is telling him to be quiet, but Teofimo Lopez doesn't have any intention on fighting Devin Haney. Although Teofimo Lopez did say in one of the interviews that I saw him give that he sees a fight with Devin Haney for him being like at 140 pounds, right? At 140 pounds. because he didn't mention 135, but he said at 140 pounds, he sees Devin Haney, he and Devin Haney being like a Spence Crawford type of fight. Well, that would imply that he's, obviously, that implies that he's thinking about and fighting Devin Haney, but he's not really talking about it, man. Dude's got Vasily Lomachenko on his mind. So I can see why Devin Haney would respond like that. But, what is Teofimo Lopez? What is Teofimo Lopez really supposed to do? He's got a unification fight coming up with Vasily Lomachenko for the WBA. For the WBA, the IBF, the WBA, the WBO, and the IBF. Now it's interesting. Teofimo Lopez mentioned that he was fighting Vasily Lomachenko for 3 of the belts. That's not quite true, because you cannot fight for the WBC franchise championship. All you can do is, if you beat the franchise champion, Vasily Lomachenko would lose the franchise championship status. But Teofimo Lopez wouldn't gain it. I think what would happen is that Teofimo Lopez would then be in a position to fight as a mandatory, or they would order a fight between the person that beat the franchise champion and the WBC champion himself. Man, I wish these guys would understand how crazy and ridiculous and unnecessarily complicated all this nonsense is for people that don't pay attention to boxing, every day. But, Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney would be a great fight at 140 pounds. It would be a great fight at 135 pounds. My trouble for this thing, with this thing happening, I've said it before and I'm gonna say it again, man. When you don't have, there's promotional issues, promotional wars, or whatever, right? Top Rank and Bob Arum have worked together before, and Bob Arum has worked with the PBC before. But when they work together, it's typically, at least from what I can see, is one or two things going on, or both of these two things going on for Bob Arum to do that. One is he's got to know that his fighter is going to win. Right. And Bob Arum is better at predicting fights. So his matchmakers are better at setting up fights than pretty much anybody, man, in the game, with the exception of maybe Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy, because they've got good matchmakers over there. But Bob Arum would make that fight if he knows that the guy is going to win. A good example of that would be like Jose Ramirez versus Maurice Hooker. I don't think that there was any doubt in Bob Arum's mind that Jose Ramirez could beat Maurice Hooker, and that's why he made the fight. Or it has to be a situation where there's so much money in the fight for everybody that Bob Arum has to make the fight, because he's basically cashing out. One of the greatest examples of that is in all of boxing history, probably, is what he did with Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. He didn't make that fight, at least it's my belief, he didn't make that fight for years, because he was over there making money off Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, Cotto pay-per-views and De La Hoya pay-per-views and Margarito pay-per-views and Shane Mosley pay-per-views, this Juan Manuel Marquez pay-per-views. He was just making a ton of money. And then when it got towards the end, right, after he had lost to Juan Manuel Marquez, and I can't remember the timing of the Bradley losses, but I think the Bradley loss was before Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao as well. Then after it seemed like Manny Pacquiao was kind of leveling off, and before the anticipation died, that's when Bob Arum made that fight, and with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, I don't believe he thought Manny Pacquiao could win. I never understood how people thought Manny Pacquiao could beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'd never seen it. I never saw it, even though Manny Pacquiao is a really good fighter, but I just never saw it. But that falls into the second scenario where Bob Arum is willing to make a fight if he's going to cash out on a guy, right? Then in some circumstances, he might have both. He might have a really huge money fight that really thinks the guy can win. And I think that he probably felt that way about about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, because he never held any punches about what he thought about Deontay Wilder's boxing ability. So, those are the three scenarios. And so Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney, that would happen more quickly if Teofimo Lopez lost to Vasily Lomachenko. But if Teofimo Lopez beats Vasily Lomachenko, you can expect Teofimo Lopez to get his hands on Jose Pedraza, for him to fight Jose Pedraza, for him to fight Ray Beltran, for him to fight Jorge Linares, guys like that are either signed directly with Top Rank or guys that have a good working relationship with Top Rank, and who Bob Arum might be able to sign to an option contract, like a 2-fight option in exchange for getting the fight. With Devin Haney, those things don't apply, because Devin Haney, it's not a huge fight yet. It's a big fight, but not a huge fight, because Devin Haney's name is not out there like that. And it's a fight that Teofimo Lopez very well could lose. And looking at the fight, I think the highest probability is Teofimo losing, because I don't see Teofimo Lopez catching Devin Haney with nothing. Devin Haney's defense is exceptional. And the fact that his defense is so exceptional, he could very well neutralize everything Teofimo Lopez really wants to do to him and make Teofimo Lopez, take him out on points. So that matchup for Bob Arum just doesn't flow very well. And it might very well, just like Teofimo Lopez said, wind up being an Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford situation. And that one is one where Bob Arum ain't really, in my opinion, trying to make that fight. Now Devin Haney, I certainly hope he catches up to Errol Spence Jr. as far as his name recognition and all that, and he's definitely on his way. He's definitely putting in his work, which is why he shouldn't listen to Teofimo Lopez about shutting up, man. If Devin Haney's taking a gamble on running his own career that so far has paid off with a tremendous amount of money, because he's over there with getting those unnecessarily large DAZN checks. But hopefully he'll be able to wiggle himself into some really great fights, continuing for the rest of his career. Hopefully we get to see it. I would have Devin Haney in that fight over Teofimo Lopez as a matchup of styles. But you let me know what you think in the comment section. With that, I'm out.